The first thing we'll do is to go to consider and take action for the minutes from the July 13th, 2020 regular session meeting. If y'all review those and see if there's any changes or any things that need to be made to that.
Hey, RJ, I think Stephanie's on mute. Stephanie, are you there?
Am I on mute?
Yeah, I'm on mute.
Stephanie, are you there?
I am.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to make sure. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Anyway, you'll review the minutes from our July 13th meeting. And if there's any changes or anything, if not, then I'll accept a motion to accept as written.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 3. It's a public hearing considering a zone change from R3 two-family to B1 local business for property consisting of 0.12 acres, being a portion of lots 1 and 2, block 3, city block 53 of the Cleaver subdivision, recorded in volume 1839, page 109 of the deed records of Nacogdoches County, Texas. Property ID is 28130, located at 1208 South Shawnee Street. The request has been submitted by Betty Jacobs. Elena, if you'll give us an update.
Thank you. Elena Chafin, City Planner. Tonight's request is to rezone approximately 0.12 acres of property located at 1208 South Shawnee Street from R3 two-family to B1 local business. The property is located on the west side of South Shawnee Street, just south of Cleaver Drive. There's a beauty parlor located on the front portion of the property that's been owned and operated by the applicant since 2003. And the applicant plans to place a floor shop on the remaining vacant portion of the property. The bulk of the property was one local business in 2003, and a small area zoned R3 two-family on the backside of the property was inadvertently left out of the rezoning, which was discovered earlier this year through the pre-development process. This area includes a mix of residential and commercial zoning districts consisting primarily of R3 two-family, which allows for a duplex and single-family development, as well as B1 local business, which is intended to accommodate those business activities supplying the day-to-day commercial needs of nearby residents. The property does take access to South Shawnee Street, which is a collector street and is appropriate for commercial activity. The surrounding land uses include a beauty parlor, single-family residences, manufactured homes, and a church on the corner of South Shawnee Street and Cleaver Drive. The future land use plan designates this area as single-family residential, which is described in the comprehensive plan as conventional, traditional one-family detached dwellings, and this definition also includes duplexes. While the property is designated as single-family, it's always relevant to consider the predominant use and zoning in the area, which in this case does include a mix of both neighborhood commercial and residential zoning districts. It's also important to note that the future land use plan or the future land use map is not intended to be parcel specific, but is meant instead to be a tool to help visualize the desired future land use pattern in the community. But it's also relevant to determine whether the request is in otherwise keeping with the goals and objectives as outlined in the comprehensive plan. In this case, the land use policies outlined in the comprehensive plan do state that neighborhood retail and service uses, such as those permitted in the B1 local business zoning district, are appropriate when they're located at intersections of collector streets or at the edge of logical neighborhood areas. This property does take access to a collector street and is near the intersection of South Shawnee Street and Cleaver Drive, which access the entrance into the neighborhood. So while the area isn't designated for commercial uses on the future land use map, the request is compatible with other zoning districts in the area and is otherwise consistent with the land use policies as outlined in the comprehensive plan. When reviewing an application for a zone change, the following conditions as outlined on your screen shall be considered. These include compatibility with adjacent land uses, providing for the orderly growth and development for surrounding property, adequate infrastructure such as utilities, roads, and drainage, the design of drives and parking, including prevention of nuisances, lighting, sufficient landscaping, and the proposed use being in accordance with the comprehensive plan. Based on the findings outlined in the staff report and those noted during the presentation, staff does find that the request meets the review criteria and recommends approval of the request to change the zoning of the subject property from R3 2-family to B1 local business. We did send out 19 property owner notices to people within the 200-foot notification area, but as of to date, we haven't received any contacts regarding. This item is scheduled for the August 18th City Council meeting, and that concludes staff's presentation. And the applicant, Ms. Betty, is also in attendance if the commission has any questions.
So this is more of just kind of cleaning up, because you said it should have already been B1 at this particular parcel. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, yes, sir. Miss Betty Jacobs owned the area outlined in yellow at the time of the original zoning in 2003, but for whatever reason, it was inadvertently left out. So this property was always meant to be included in the request. And it's like you said, this is just considered a cleanup item.
Understood. Does anyone else have any questions for Elena?
I don't.
Well, I do not.
Okay. This is an open meeting. If there's anybody that'd like to speak for or against, feel free to speak on behalf for that. Elena, do we have anyone that's wanting to speak on this?
No, we didn't have anyone sign up to speak on this item.
Okay. Wonderful. So we can go ahead and move to voting for or against this, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to accept or deny this request. Does anyone have a?
I so move that we accept the request made.
Okay. Is there a second? Stephanie, you second?
I do.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, wonderful. Well, we'll move on to agenda item number 4. And actually, on agenda item number 4, I'll actually have to recuse myself on this particular behalf because it is a request that I'm actually putting in. So we'll have Stephanie, if you would, move forward with going over that particular agenda item number 4.
Sure. This is to consider an ordinance amending the boundaries of a zoning district within the city of Nacogdoches from an R2 single family to an R4 multifamily for lot 12, City Block 41, located at 1102 Logansport Street. This request has been submitted by RJ Bohack.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. As you said, tonight's request is to rezone approximately 0.8 acres of property located at 1102 Logansport Street from R2 single family to R4 multifamily. The property is located on the east side of Logansport Street, just south of Pecan Acres Park. The property is currently developed as a single family residence, and the applicant is proposing to develop the property with duplexes. The area includes both a mix of low and high density residential zoning districts, including R1 and R2 single family, R3 2-family, and R4 multifamily zoning districts, all located in the immediate vicinity. The surrounding land uses include single-family residences, vacant land, and Pecan Acres Park to the north. The R4 multifamily zoning district is intended for higher density residential areas, which they contain a mixture of single-family, 2-family, and multifamily dwellings. And the request is compatible with zoning in the area and should not adversely impact the adjacent land uses. The future land use map designates this area as single-family residential, which is described in the comprehensive plan as traditional, conventional, detached, one-family dwelling units, which also includes duplexes. And while the property is designated as single-family, again, it's always relevant to consider the predominant use or zoning in the area, which in this case does include both low and high-density residential zoning districts. In addition to the future land use map, it's also relevant to determine whether the request is in otherwise keeping with the goals and objectives as outlined in the comprehensive plan. In this case, this rezoning request is a response to current needs for housing and therefore does fit into the goals of the comprehensive plan, specifically the goal to encourage growth inward, which is described as long-term growth in appropriate areas to achieve an efficient, diverse, and balanced pattern of land uses. Some of these targeted objectives include encouraging infill development where appropriate, planning for mixing and or separation of land uses, based on desired location, density, and pattern of development, and then promoting growth where adequate infrastructure already exists. So in staff's opinion, this rezoning request will be an infill development and will ensure a balance of land uses within the area while providing for a variety of housing types to serve the needs of Nacogdoches residents. And in this regard, the request is consistent with a comprehensive plan. Again, when reviewing an application for a zone change, the following conditions shall be considered as outlined in your screen. And I'll just go over those briefly since we looked at them just a minute ago. They include compatibility with adjacent land uses, providing for orderly growth and development, planning for supporting facilities such as infrastructure and roadways, the design of drives and parking, adequate nuisance prevention measures, lighting, landscaping, and compliance with the comprehensive plan. Based on the findings outlined in the staff report and those identified in the presentation, staff does find that the request meets the review criteria and does recommend approval of the request. We did send out 15 notices to property owners within the 200-foot notification area, and to date haven't received any phone calls or inquiries regarding the request. This item is also slated for the August 18th City Council meeting, and that concludes staff's presentation. And of course, the applicant is also available for questions.
Okay, so we will open it up to the public at this time. Did we have anybody, Elena?
No, Stephanie, we didn't have anyone sign up for this item.
Okay. Does the board have any questions or anything of the applicant?
I don't.
No.
Okay. I'll call for a motion
I move that we accept the request.
and a second.
A second, it's here.
Okay. Any discussion?
None.
And everyone agree? Say
Yes.
aye. Yes.
Aye.
Yes, yes, I do.
All right. I will turn it back over to Mr. RJ Bohack.
Okay, we'll move on. Thank you for that. We'll move on to public agenda item number 5. Consider a specific use permit to allow for mini warehouse self-storage in a B2 general business zoning district on lots 1 and 2 of Block 1 of the Cardinal Street subdivision, Phase 2, and Lot 4-C, City Block 54, located at 1605, 1711, and 1717 Cardinal Street. The request has been submitted by Mike Lebron. Elena, if you will give us an update on that, please.
All right, thank you, RJ. This request is approximately 1.9 acres of property located on the west and north side of Cardinal Street. The property is currently zoned B2 general business, which allows for a mini warehouse self-storage facility with approval of a specific use permit. The SUP process allows staff, the commission, and city council the opportunity to review such requests and then impose any conditions necessary on such development. This development includes 3 phases. The first phase consists of 2 existing structures located at 1717 Cardinal Street. These are shown as buildings A and B on the attached site plan exhibit outlined on your screen. When this phase was constructed in 1984, warehouse storage was a permitted land use in the B2 zoning district, but it wasn't until 1998 that the zoning ordinance was updated and mini warehouse storage was defined as a separate land use that required a specific use permit. So therefore, the use is considered grandfathered, but it's included in the request in an attempt to bring the property into compliance with the zoning ordinance. The second phase includes an office storage building located at 1605 Cardinal Street, built in 2007 and then renovated in 2015. And it's depicted on the aerial map exhibit on your screen. This space is primarily used for office. The third and final phase is a recently constructed self-storage facility at 1711 Cardinal Street. This is shown as Building C on the attached exhibit. Permit plans for this phase were submitted and approved back in October of 2019. During the time, the planning department was undergoing some staff transitions. So the zoning was inadvertently missed by staff during the review process. So we're retroactively requesting approval for the specific use permit for all three phases. As I stated before, the subject property is zoned B2 general business, as well as the majority of the surrounding property. There is R4 multifamily zoning located to the east and south across Cardinal Street. The area is predominantly developed with commercial and multifamily residential uses, with Cardinal Street intersecting with North University Drive and East Star Avenue, which are both designated as major arterials. The subject property and surrounding areas primarily designated as commercial in the future land use plan, with property to the east designated as multifamily residential. The future land use designation is consistent with the current zoning of the property, and the approval of the specific use permit would not change the uses permitted by the current underlying zoning district of B2 general business. As with zoning requests, the following factors are to be considered when reviewing an application for a specific use permit. These are the same review criteria that were outlined in items 3 and 4 in regards to zone change requests. So I won't go over them again, but they're just here for reference. Many warehouse storage facilities are often met with opposition due to concerns with aesthetics and hours of operation and overall design. These land uses generally generate little traffic in comparison to a lot of other land uses that are permitted in the B2 general business zoning district, and typically have few employees on site, that therefore they don't generate a lot of crowds of customers at one time. Phase 1 of this development, as stated earlier, was constructed in 1984 prior to the adoption of several of the city's current commercial development standards, including outdoor lighting and commercial street landscaping requirements that typically speak to aesthetics. So it's technically considered grandfathered in, but if there were any building or parking lot additions or renovations to the property that met the thresholds as outlined in the zoning ordinance, then these development standards would apply and the property would be brought up to code. Phase 2 of the development, located at 1605 Curtin Street, was constructed again in 2007 and then renovated in 2015. And it was permitted to meet all of the current development standards, so it is in compliance. And again, it's primarily used for office space with office hours Monday through Friday. The most recently constructed phase at 1711 was also permitted to meet all of the current development standards in regards to landscaping and outdoor lighting. And so again, it complies with current standards. It does have office hours between 9 and 5 p.m. and the facility is gated. So in staff's opinion, the proposed use is low intensity in nature, especially compared to some of the other permitted uses by right in the B2 general business zoning district. And staff believes that the existing facilities are compatible with the adjacent land uses in the area. And so based on the findings outlined in the staff report and in this presentation, we do recommend approval of the specific use permit. This item is also slated for the August 18th City Council meeting, and the applicant, Mike Liebram, is also in attendance. We sent out 31 notices to property owners within the area. We did receive one contact regarding the request, and they just had general concerns with drainage in the area. We were able to get them into contact with our engineering department, and so they're working with that property owner to try to address drainage issues on their property. But that concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available for questions.
So again, is this just more of a housekeeping issue, just trying to bring this SUP, because obviously it's not compliant being in a B2, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Like I said, the first phase was built back in the 80s. Back then, warehouse was allowed, and many warehouses were behind a separate land use. And so it wasn't until the late 90s when we started regulating a lot of these more specific commercial district zoning uses. And again, 1711 was permitted to meet all the standards, but the zoning was missed during the review process. And so, yes, in essence, it is a cleanup item just to bring the property to zoning compliance.
Anyone else have any other questions for Elena?
No, I don't.
Okay. This is obviously an open forum meeting, so if anyone would like to speak for or against this, feel free to. I see Mike. I don't know if you'd like to speak on behalf of what your plans are, but feel free to if you'd like.
I don't have anything to say, but if you have any questions, I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay. So is your plans just to add to the existing buildings that are there? Is that what your plans are? Or are you just?
Well, the building is the new building is already built, and we're not adding to any buildings right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's finished, and we just need to get the specific use permit. I did not realize that we had to have a specific use permit.
I got you. Okay. So again, just kind of tidying things up, sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. Did anyone else have any other questions?
Do not.
No.
No, I don't.
Steve, do you have anything else to add? Sorry.
No, sir. I was just here in case you had any additional questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Well, I will entertain a motion for or against the specific use permit for the mini warehouse self-storage there on Cardinal Street. Anyone like to make a motion for or against?
I make a
I move
motion
it.
that,
Go ahead, Stephanie.
sorry. I make a motion we accept the specific use permit to allow for the mini warehouse storage facility.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Wonderful. Well, that motion carries as well. And then we'll move on to number 6, discussion and possible action. Is that something else we need to do, Elena, number 6?
Yeah, so this is a new item that we'll start having on all of our agendas. This is essentially an opportunity for the commission to ask any questions about things that aren't advertised on the agenda. So points of clarification, questions about the zoning ordinance. If there's a development that you're interested in and that you want more information on, we can bring that back to the next meeting or just provide points of clarification. It's also an opportunity for you to request future agenda items. So if there's a planning topic that you're interested in or a development standard outlined in the zoning ordinance that you want to bring up for future discussion, this is an opportunity to request that at this time. So, we can't discuss or deliberate anything that's not posted on the agenda, but if there's something that you've been wanting to talk about or something you're interested in, this is an opportunity to say, I want to talk about this at the next agenda so we can get it posted and meet all the requirements of the Open Meetings Act. For example, we're going to start bringing some workshops forward in order to have some discussions about making some updates to the zoning ordinance and the subdivision ordinance. And so during that time, there's going to be a lot of discussion and deliberation about our development standards and what we should keep and what we should change, maybe best practices. And so this might be an opportunity for something that you've seen in another community that you want to explore here, or you just want to have, an educational workshop on. And so we can talk about those things during this item. Or again, just for general questions, if you're driving down the street and you see a property under construction and you want to know more about that or where that development is at its phase, then this is also an opportunity for things like that.
Great.
One question I do have is, as a city council, are they meeting like we are? I haven't seen. Are they meeting like this virtually, or are they meeting together?
They're meeting virtually. The city council has approved the acquisition of some software and some equipment that would allow council to have kind of like a hybrid city council meeting where maybe some of the council members are physically in attendance and then some of them are remoting in. Right now, we don't have the capability to do that. It's essentially an all or nothing. You either have to be all in person or all virtual. So right now, they're still having their regular council meetings, but they are virtual. But we're hoping to implement this new software and hardware to allow, kind of like a quasi hybrid virtual in-person meeting forum, which we would also be able to take advantage of for these meetings. So the idea is, zoning board of adjustment meetings, planning and zoning commission meetings, all those regular meetings we have in the council and chambers, we could allow, some of the public to come in as long as we're social distancing, some of the council members to attend if they felt comfortable, and then others could attend virtually.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else have any other questions at this point? I like this new idea. That's a good idea, just to have some stuff. I don't have anything off the top of my head. Does anybody have anything they were inquiring about or thinking about while driving around?
I do. So if you're headed north around Northeast Stallings from University, I know that there's I believe Dr. Klein has a facility that's being put in over there, and just north of that is quite a bit of clearing going on. Are you aware of any of that, Elena?
Steve, are you familiar with that?
Yes, that clearing you see along the loop right there where University comes in is for a new sewer line and water line that are being extended as part of the agreement with Dr. Klein. So that's strictly utilities. It's a bunch of clearing, but it's actually just a utility easement.
Exactly, My Stephanie.
I've been asked that about 1,000 times. What's happening over there? Because there's a lot of heavy equipment on that side of the road.
And that alludes to something else. And I've been asked a million times as well too. Do you know of any updates as far as HEB?
Yes.
That gets asked once a week by somebody.
So the last meeting that we had, we have not received any updates from HEB. We haven't been contacted by HEB about any future or proposed developments. And so I think some of that is just maybe some wishful thinking. But no, we don't have any updates on that.
Darn.
Anything? Yeah, I know, right?
Up there where the old Peking was, that's been asked. I get that asked a lot as well.
Yes, that is going to be a new car wash facility.
Do you know kind of time frame on that?
They are wanting to get started as early as next month.
Okay. I had a lot of people ask about that old building and what's going on. So,
Is that a self-serve car wash, or will that be?
You remember, Steve? Is that
kind of like a
self-serve or is that?
drive-through?
No, it's a full serve tunnel wash. Full serve tunnel wash, just like Zippy's or Excel.
Okay. Okay.
That's all the questions I have, I think, for development wise right now. Like I said, those are usually hot topics that everybody asks. And so, is this kind of time frame or the place that you're thinking to ask these questions? Is that what this was intended for, right, Elena?
Yeah, and one of the other things that we could do is just send, if you have a lot of questions about development that's going on around town, we could always create like a development update list and just email it out to the commission on a monthly basis based on permits that are submitted and give you an idea where they're at in the process. And so if that's a question you guys regularly get, then that's something that we can just incorporate into kind of our monthly reporting and just send you guys a link.
I think that would be phenomenal. I know I get a lot of questions about this, that, or otherwise, and usually I have a pretty good idea, but just kind of, like you say, like a status update of saying, yeah, they've made a permit and they're thinking, January of 2021, they're going to break ground or something, just have something to pass along to somebody. We get that question a lot. We're able to talk to a lot of the community and people moving here. And so having that information is always kind of nice to be able to pass along to. So,
and we can actually add that as an item, a regular item onto the agenda, just a development update to have a list of permits that have been submitted, and then it would be posted, so you would have the opportunity to openly ask questions about it. So
okay.
If
Good.
the commission
Sounds like a plan.
doesn't
Sounds good.
add future agenda.
Perfect.
Okay,
That's a good idea.
More work.
we will do that.
Well, thank you. I think, is that everything we have on the agenda for today?
That is it. The last item is adjourned.
I will adjourn the meeting at 5:31. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
I thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right.